Hello, music fans. Welcome to Death by Unicorn and to my 10 favorite albums of 1981. I just made a video about my 10 favorite albums of 1980, so check that out after this video if you haven't watched that already. And I'm going to focus on metal, rock, and progressive albums, as those are the genres that I tend to prefer. And before I get into my top 10, I'm going to give two quick honorable mentions. First honorable mention is Mob Rules by Black Sabbath. This is heavy metal. It's their 10th album, their second album to feature Ronnie James Dio on lead vocals instead of Ozzy Osbourne. Dio's vocal talents are far superior to Ozzy Osbourne's, but I tend to like the sound of Ozzy's vocals with Black Sabbath riffing better. I think it just fits better, even though any person who understands vocals can tell he's not as naturally talented as Dio. This is still a good album. I just don't find it as great as the first six with Ozzy, but I think it's better than their seventh and eighth album that they have with Ozzy. So check out Mob Rules by Black Sabbath. And second honorable mention is Point of Entry by Judas Priest. This is another heavy metal one, their seventh album. It's decent enough, but it's nowhere near their best for me, so it just gets an honorable mention here. Now let's jump into the top 10 proper. Number 10 is Diary of a Madman by Ozzy Osbourne. And he got the number 10 spot in my 1980 video as well with his debut. This is heavy metal, maybe more hard rock, I'd say. I think compared to today's standard, it would be classified as hard rock, but at the time it was heavy metal. This is Ozzy Osbourne's second solo album. My favorite songs on here are the title track and Flying High Again. Number 9 is Abacab by Genesis. This is more art rock. It's not full-on progressive rock anymore like their earlier stuff. This is their 11th album. They've got a lot more pop on here than their previous albums, but it still has that artsy and progressive rock flair to it. They bring in some new wave and reggae influence in here as well. Most of the songs on Abacab are pretty good, but Who Done It has to be one of their worst songs, if not their worst song, in my opinion. And number 8 is Ghost in the Machine by The Police. This is more of a new wave album. It's their fourth album. It features the singles Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic and Spirits in the Material World, among others. And it even has some solid, deeper cuts like Hungry for You and Rehumanize Yourself. I think it's a solid album. And then number 7 is 1984 by Rick Wakeman. This is progressive rock. It's a concept album by the keyboardist Rick Wakeman, who's well known from his time in Yes. The concept album is based on the dystopian novel 1984 by George Orwell. It features 5 different guest vocalists: Shaka Khan, Kenny Lynch, Steve Harley, Tim Rice, and former Yes lead singer John Anderson. So check out 1984 by Rick Wakeman if that sounds cool to you. Number 6 is Nude by Camel. This is progressive rock. It's their 8th album. It's a concept album based on a true story of a Japanese soldier marooned on an island in World War II who doesn't know that the war is over. It's mostly instrumental, but a few tracks contain lyrics. I think fans of Pink Floyd should like this album. Number 5 is Iron Maiden and their album Killers. This is heavy metal. It's their second album. It's still before Bruce Dickinson joined the band, their signature vocalist. So they haven't quite made it to their best work yet, but I think this is a very good album. Number 4 is Paradise Theater by Styx. This is progressive rock, but starting to lean more towards arena rock, hard rock, AOR kind of sounds. It's their 10th album. It features the hits The Best of Times and Too Much Time on My Hands, which are some great songs. Number 3 is Escape by Journey. This is a straightforward rock album. It's their 7th album. It features the hits Don't Stop Believing, obviously their biggest hit of all time, still a very popular song to this day. Who's Crying Now and Open Arms, also big hits on here. So if you're looking for that catchy anthemic rock with lots of hits and singable choruses and moments, this is a good album for you to check out. Number 2 is Discipline by King Crimson. This is progressive art rock. It's got some new wave influences. It's their 8th album, but it's their first one since 1974's Red, after which they disbanded. This one, Discipline, has a whole new lineup with Adrian Belew on guitar and vocals, Robert Fripp on guitar, Tony Levin on bass, and Chapman Stick, and Bill Bruford on drums. I think I heard they were going to call the band Discipline, but they ended up using the name King Crimson and continuing the King Crimson legacy since they have Robert Fripp and they had Bill Bruford. And I'm one of those weird people whose favorite era of King Crimson is this era with Adrian Belew on vocals. So I actually love this lineup. I find he's just wackier and weirder than the previous King Crimson vocalist. I know he's probably not technically as good of a vocalist, but I also love his guitar playing, and he plays guitar on these albums too. And he played with Frank Zappa. He brought over that type of energy and weirdness to King Crimson. They were already quite a weird band, but I think Adrian Belew just brings even more weirdness. This album features some really fun songs like Elephant Talk, Frame by Frame, and Tela Hunginjit, and they're all just really fun songs. So check out Discipline by King Crimson. And then my number 1 album of 1981 is Moving Pictures by Rush. It's a progressive rock album, their 8th album. It features the hits Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelight. That's side 1 right there. It's all classics that you can hear on classic rock radio, and they're all just banger after banger. And then side 2 has the deeper cuts, The Camera Eye, Witch Hunt, and Vital Sides. Both sides are great. This is my favorite Rush album, and possibly even my favorite prog rock album of all time. If you exclude all prog metal albums, because there are definitely some prog metal albums that I like better than this, but this is my favorite album that I'd classify as prog rock. I think it's just a masterpiece, and I love everything that Rush has done up into this point as well. And they feature highly on my list in a lot of these top 10 albums of the year videos that I made for the 70s. And they might feature highly in some of the 80s ones, but maybe not in all of them. Stay tuned for future videos in this series. Of course, I'm going to talk about 1982 next. And let me know down in the comments, what are your favorite albums from the year 1981? And what do you think of my picks? Until next time, peace out.